welcome to Indianomics. Tomatoes have dominated headlines till the rain floods edged them out. India's agriculture and hence her food inflation has been caught between excess rains in 6 important food grain growing areas of Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh, while 15 other rice growing subdivisions like Andhra, Rayala, Telangana, Karnataka and West Bengal are reeling under deficient rains. And they may suffer more due to El Nino fears. Not surprisingly, the usual seasonal tomato inflation has spilled over into cereals as well. Rice and wheat have jumped 1.3% in June over May, according to the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, while dals have jumped 6% in June over May. Potatoes and onions are up 4 to 6%, while tomatoes are up over 100% or 50%, depending on where you're shopping. Can this get corrected as this season advances? How crucial are the July and August rains for the overall Kharif output? And are stocks enough to contain prices? For all these questions, I'm joined by 2 experts, former Agricultural Prices Commission Chairman and now distinguished professor at ICRIER, Dr. Ashok Gulati, and Harish, Damodaran, editor, Rural Affairs at the Indian Express. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Dr. Gulati, what is your sense? Since we have deficit rains plaguing some agriculturally important states in the south and floods, bedeviling some of the northern food-heavy states, is the overall Kharif output in danger?
Well, I would say that climate is knocking at our doors very loudly. The erratic behavior of rains, too much excess at one place and still deficient in other places, is not a very good omen for agriculture. There would be some losses, and as we look at the data, we still find sowing in some parts of the country, especially for rice, is lagging behind last year. So there would be some damage to agriculture overall production. How much? We have still to wait and watch what happens in the rest of July and August, which are the critical months. And if the spread is better, just 15 days back we were worrying how much is the big deficiency, but yes. By 10th of July, the overall rainfall is in surplus at all India level by 2%.
Yes.
But the spread is very uneven, and that's not very good for agriculture. But how much damage will be there? I think we have still to wait and watch.
Okay. So what is, you've been traveling globally rather extensively. What are the El Nino fears? I'll come to the flood. It may look a little odd as our viewers are grappling with floods. I'm asking you about deficient rains. But how serious is the El Nino worry? Will the south be severely affected in terms of the rice crop?
You know, the latest 4th of July report of the World Meteorological Organization of the UN has updated that El Nino is on us. 90% probability, and July, August, September, the warming of the Pacific Ocean will be in an accelerated fashion. So that is not a good sign for the Indian monsoon. You know, we analyzed last 72 years data since 1950 to 2022, and we found there were 15 years when there was drought. Out of that, 11 were El Nino years. But there were 4 others when El Nino was,
counter.
El Nino not necessarily lead to drought. It can be a normal rainfall, and in one of the years, so even when El Nino was there was more than normal rainfall.
Okay.
So, but the larger probability is that it will damage the rainfall pattern. And therefore, dangerous.
Okay, I'm coming to that again with you in terms of how crucial and which months are crucial. But Harish, you've been traveling extensively domestically, and Dr. Gulati alluded to the fact that rice crop sown area is 24% below what it was last year. How worrying is the net sown area numbers, not just for rice but for everything, even pulses?
Yeah, in the case of rice, I think these rains definitely is going to benefit the crop in Punjab, Haryana, or even the Tarai region where I was last week. So I think you're going to see very good transplanting, etc. in Punjab, Haryana, and these are very high yielding states, of course. But on the other hand, we've had hardly any rains in Telangana, in Andhra Pradesh, in West Bengal, in Orissa, even in Chhattisgarh, Bihar, Jharkhand. So I don't know to what extent the lack of rains there will be offset by very good rains in Punjab and Haryana. Where you forget about all this flooding in cities and all. These rains are excellent for paddy and just at the right time. I mean, at the time of so flooded situations flooded fields are very good at this time, at least for paddy, though not for people in cities.
I would assume the crop hasn't been sown there yet, and therefore you can take advantage of the flooding henceforth? Because they look like they were washing away fields.
No. I don't think there's been much washing away of fields. Maybe in some areas, where very low-lying areas kind of a thing. But overall, I think in Punjab and Haryana, there's been. I think the transplanting will be very good, and I think the crop should be very good. I think Punjab and all have to worry more about cotton, right? Because
it's good to hear that rice crop over there is more likely to be good, and perhaps the washing away of floods was more in Uttarakhand. One can't say the picture from another. It may not be in the rice growing area. You're right.
Yeah. I think it was more in Himachal Pradesh, and even Uttarakhand. I don't think in the Tarai, etc. At least I was there till last Saturday. There sort of transplanting was going on in full swing.
Yeah. So, Western UP is still being counted as just excess and not large excess. By the ministry.
Same thing I would say in pulses. The rains have been very bad in Marathwada, Vidarbha, in Telangana, in northern Karnataka, which is the real Arhar bowl of India. Okay. Whereas, but you had excellent rains in Rajasthan, so you will have a bumper, I think, moong crop. In
Rajasthan.
Rajasthan. So Rajasthan has had very good rain. So you will have very good bajra crop. We'll have a very good moong crop.
Okay.
And I think so you have these offsetting kind of scenarios. So Punjab and Haryana offsetting other rice growing states. Rajasthan offsetting maybe Karnataka and Maharashtra. But basically, I think the point which needs to be noted is that the monsoon this time has been very weak. Okay, whatever rains we have been getting is because of Jugalbandi. Basically when the monsoon first interacted with the cyclone Biparjoy, and now with the western disturbance. But the monsoon by itself as a solo act, I think it's very weak. That's why we are seeing hardly any rains there. Whereas in northwest India, you had that whatever confluence of those two systems. The monsoon winds from the Bay of Bengal and the western disturbances from I think there was a trough around the North Arabian Sea. So because of this Jugalbandi, you are having good rain. But let's not be mistaken, the monsoon is very weak, and that clearly has to do with El Nino. And you will see this getting progressively weaker. That's my, that's the feeling
that's
which I get.
All right. No, that's important. Dr. Gulati, it is very important to note that Jawar and Bajra crops are very good, as you pointed out, and that's Bajra perhaps is the Rajasthan contribution. But poor pulses as far as Western Maharashtra belt is concerned. Even Madhya Pradesh hasn't received. It's still counted in some parts as deficient. Larger parts are normal. Dr. Gulati, can things be made up? Can things pan out, as Harish is saying, that the rice and pulses of the north will be able to counter the deficiency of the south?
It's for me too early to predict on this part. You look at by 10th of July.
Okay.
That's literally
about 20% of the season.
Yesterday. Jharkhand is 41% deficient in rain.
Yes, sir.
Bihar is deficient in rain. Telangana is 36% deficient in rain. Odisha is 27% deficient in rain. And these are all rice growing states.
Yes.
So how much they will be able to recover depends upon the coming weeks, how the rainfall pans out. And if the rainfall is good, the recovery will be much faster. But I agree with Harish one point that rice being a water-loving crop, there will be, something good in terms of recharging the groundwater of Punjab, Haryana and Western UP, which had been depleting over years like anything. Yeah. I'm still not clear whether the productivity in Punjab can be increased by these floods or in Western UP because they are 100% irrigated crops in any case. So whether these floods will improve the productivity in Punjab or Haryana, I have my doubts. Okay, but the loss of this sowing area in other states that I counted is going to be impacted. Good thing is that there are enough buffer stocks of rice as on today. If we don't throw away more of those in the election run-up, I think we are reasonably safe on rice front. So that's not a big worry for me on the food security. Pulses prices can spike. And Harish mentioned about Maharashtra tour to be watched. And in between, excess rains disturb the flow of the goods, and veggies are already on fire. And you're going to have it a little tough time in the next 2-3 weeks till the time all the supply lines are fixed. Back to you.
Okay. The other crop we need to talk about is cotton. Harish, already India's cotton exports have been hit. One, because Indian prices are even higher than international prices. Of course, this is not the big cotton export season. That is yet to come. It's only the contracting season. But nevertheless, that could take a hit, you think?
I think cotton, we are now going to be structurally, I won't say deficient, but definitely our production is now going to come under a lot of pressure. Mainly because I think large areas are now are susceptible to both whitefly as well as the pink bollworm. So I think that has been a major reason. And this time I think a lot of area under cotton this time is going to switch to groundnut. I think in Gujarat, because same thing, because I think farmers are seeing that this is a very risky crop. And in Rajasthan and in Punjab, in fact, a lot of cotton area now this time has come to paddy. So I think about something like 1 lakh hectares more area under paddy. So which may not be bad from the point of view of rice. But I think generally, I think the cotton. I think our production peaked in 2013-14. And our production has been coming down. Because. Unfortunately, because no new technology is coming in, and our regime, it doesn't allow for the new technologies to come in.
I'll come to that in a bit. At the moment, just looks from what you're saying is that the cash crops loss is the food crops gain, which from an inflation consumer angle perhaps is not all that bad. But Dr. Gulati. Let me ask you about overall inflation. You have worn many hats, even been in the RBI's board. So do you think this mix of vegetable inflation and fears of cereal inflation, for the moment, dals are 6% more expensive month on month in June over May, according to the Consumer Affairs data. Do you think we are in danger of a generally higher inflation for some months?
I would say there could be some corrections on the cereal front. Let's talk the big items first. The cereal inflation, which was bothering the RBI and the country. There have been some open market operations by FCI unloading. So wheat price inflation particularly could be coming under control. Rice, there are not many takers in the open market, so I think cereal price inflation for the next 2-3 months, I'm not too worried.
Okay.
I'm worried about vegetable prices and some of the pulses given this climate problem and floods and droughts simultaneously existing excess rains and large deficiencies in certain pockets. Some of the pulses, especially tuor, can flare up. But no one is talking about what is already on our table, and that is the milk inflation, which has of all the commodities, 299 commodities in the CPI basket. Milk has the highest weight. And if you look at the contribution to CPI inflation right now, till last month, milk was contributing the maximum. And that no one is talking about what is the solution on that front.
Okay. All right. Well, actually, we did discuss milk inflation considerably in the months of Jan, Feb and March, and even Harish was there in some of those discussions along with Mr. Sodhi. But I guess we'll have to wait till winter for those prices to ebb when the next calving season comes, is what we were told. But I wanted to also discuss what can be the impact of global prices. Can we be able to make up with imported cereals and vegetables? Those questions after the break. Welcome back to Indianomics. It's actually agri-nomics at the moment because we've been discussing the impact of excess rainfall in some areas and deficient rains in some other states, all of them important food-producing states, on how the Kharif output might shape up. I've been speaking with Harish Damodaran of the Indian Express and Dr. Ashok Gulati, former Agricultural Prices Commission Chairman, and now with Distinguished Professor at ICRIER. Gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Dr. Gulati, the deficiencies are there perhaps in vegetables and dals for some time now, as you pointed out. Can imports correct it?
Pulses, international prices, we have the largest producer, we have the largest, in a way, importer, producer, consumer, everything. So there is very little that we can get from outside, except some of the things like yellow pea, where we had put literally an import ban and very high import tariffs. So if you correct that, they may be a substitute for many other pulses, and that can anchor the pulses prices down. Tuor, if you can import from African countries or from Myanmar and neighboring countries here and there, I think the basic policy line has to be immediately the import tariffs have to be at the lowest 5%, 7%, whatever you want to have. I'm worried about one or two other commodities. Because if El Nino picks up momentum, it's going to hit Indonesia, Malaysia, palm oil.
Oh.
And those palm oil prices globally are going to reverse. They have been coming down and that will go up. So we have to watch on that. The other things, when El Nino hits, actually Brazil's and Argentina's gain. So the soya can be very good. The next to watch is what is happening in China, because China's demand has been growing like anything. And whether, and they are having floods like us in many places. So what is the damage in China? So overall global demand supply is not going to be very comfortable.
Okay. Not necessarily to our advantage.
So this trend, which after the Ukraine war, prices had been, after picking up and then they had been stabilizing and coming down, that trend of downward trend may be arrested or maybe even reversed. So that we need to watch carefully and but play our trade policy wisely and take a preemptive action, especially on wheat, which is the next crop, not the Kharif. I think that's where dangers are more.
Okay, as you speak, I was looking at the FAO indexes, the Food and Agriculture Association's index, and it seems to indicate that cereals and edible oils have been falling. They seem to be more worried about sugar, which has risen rather sharply. Will that be a bother, Harish, sugar?
Sugar, yes. I think so. See, the main thing is, El Nino is not going to affect just the Kharif. The impact will be more on Rabi. because these rains. See, ideally the kharif crop should be grown only with rains, without any irrigation. Whatever extra rains you get should be actually recharging your groundwater, and it should be filling your dams and reservoirs. And
but the north is safe. By those standards, the north is safe, right? The impact is going to be on the peninsula India.
Yeah. So I'm just coming to that. So a lot of your entire Rabi crop is basically grown by drawing down your basically by using your groundwater, which has been recharged during the monsoon. Okay. So we are going to see a scenario where even your wheat, etc., could be impacted. Especially in many areas where they are largely grown. Not I won't say rain fed, but basically by say one irrigation or two irrigations, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So to that extent, I think wheat can be impacted, and sugarcane, mind you, is crushed right up till next April.
Yeah.
Right. So though the sugarcane crushing starts from November, right? It goes on. So the current rains, even if the rains are good, etc., it's fine. Okay, till November, but you need to crush till April. So I think so. If strengthening El Nino is not a good sign, whether for sugar or for wheat, that is the coming Rabi crop. And as far as I think import options are there, I think like for example, a good substitute for arhar is masoor. Okay. You have and actually red masoor dal is being used in place of arhar, even for making sambar, especially in hotels, restaurants, etc. So you can substitute to some extent, maybe 20-30%. Arhar can be substituted by masoor dal. Just like yellow peas was doing it in the case of chana. So basically, what you're going to have is you'll have good crops of chana, which you anyway have, right? You have a very good stock of chana, and of course moong. Moong will be good because of Rajasthan.
Okay, I'm getting the overall impression, Harish, that you're not terribly worried about some of the very, very important crops like.
I'm not worried about pulses, but rice I'll be bothered about because India is the largest exporter. Simply, so we cannot be a large importer.
Yeah, we cannot lean on anyone.
Yeah, so maybe this time wheat will have to do some of the heavy lifting, even before the elections, and maybe through imported wheat as well. And I think that is the option. And like I think what Dr. Gulati said in the beginning, I don't think there's much scope for giving rice out free and those kind of stuff. So we are not in 2020.
Cannot be free grains at the moment. Dr. Gulati, one final words, out of time, but just want to know if you have to advise the RBI, if the governor were to ask you, is there an upward bias? At the moment, food inflation is only at 2.7. That's the last number we have. But you think that that can be a big bother in the coming months?
Yes, I think we have to be careful on the upward swing of food inflation. But things will not go out of control. Veggies like tomatoes are temporary shocks. This happened exactly a year back also when I wrote tomatoes humble RBI, what can they do? We have failed to learn lessons out of how to fix a supply chain. But all said and done, there is some pressure on food prices, and but overall inflation, CPI inflation, will remain between 4.5% to 6%. That's the range in which
the range that has been permitted to the MPC. Take your point, sir. Dr. Gulati, Harish, Damodaran, thank you very much for joining us. A word of caution on rice is what Harish is pointing out to. Dr. Gulati pointing out that there can be an upward pressure because of several commodities, pulses included, but it will not be alarming, and that's very soothing. We wrap up on this special edition of Indianomics. Thank you much for watching.